Welcome to Chatter Gang, a pod about the magic and the gathering. My name is Hope Speakin. You can call me Jose. And today we have a really special treat. We have someone who I don't know when they came into my life as a content creator, but I do know that I'm thrilled to have them in my life at this point. If you need anything from travel to food to pretty things that you can find along the way, souvenirs, things like that, this is the person you want to go to. KimsDailies. Kim, hi, welcome.
Hi, Jose. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. And yeah, I don't know when we became mutuals through social media, but now you are honestly just a part of my everyday life. And I cannot
Oh,
imagine going through like a day or two without interacting with you. It's been awesome.
okay, look, it's too early for me to start crying. Come on. Come on. No, Kim, I'm very happy you're here. Thank you for joining us. And Kim, your stuff is much different than a lot of the people who I feel like would typically come on a podcast involving magic because you're not centralized around magic, right? So, can you talk to us a little bit about your content and what you've been doing since, correct me if I'm wrong, a little bit on and off since like 2022?
Yeah, I think it started off as a pandemic project. I remember my boyfriend and his brother were trying to make workout videos on TikTok. And
Mhm.
I will admit, I was a little judgmental. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this app? It's for kids. What are you guys doing? But of course, the more I supported them online, the more entrenched in TikTok I got. So I just started making random videos when I would travel to Atlanta to visit my friends. And I kind of stopped there after I came back to Chicago. But what really started everything up again was going to MagicCon this year in Chicago, and that was so fun. And I was so new to magic at the time that I didn't know what else to do besides wait in line in the artist alley and get everybody's signatures. So while I'm waiting in these really long lines, I was like, what else is there to do besides maybe take some videos and edit them while I'm in line and upload them? And I think that moment really connected me to a lot of the magic community online, and it's been so great. Since then, my pod has kind of dissolved, unfortunately. So we haven't really been playing. Been playing Commander on and off. So I've kind of switched over to just recording stuff in my daily life, hence my username. And that just includes random events I'd go to, food, stuff to do around Chicago. So that's kind of why my stuff is a jumbled mess. But now that it's a winter and it's getting colder here, I'm hoping my pod will reconvene and do cozy indoor activities and play some Commander again. And hopefully, I'll get some more magic content out there.
I think it's fair. A lot of people don't want to be inside doing anything inside. And it's hard to play Magic outside because one stiff breeze and you lose thousands of dollars, right? Combined. But I really enjoy your content because I am one of those people who will watch like Man versus Food when it was on, or like the diner, whatever the Fieri one is, the diners dash whatever it's called, to find like really cute places to eat or like really fun locations to check out. And I think that's why your content to me is so great, because you find these amazing cute little spots everywhere you go, to the point where like my wife doesn't really go online all that often, and every time I show her one of your things, she's like, put that down, write that one down, write that one down. So how do you find all these cute little places that you go to for like foods and for souvenirs and things like that?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm such a homebody that I think I'm just fortunate to have friends who love to go out and try new things, and they're always really on top of like the latest restaurants that are opening or cute cafes that have awesome themes for the holidays. So a lot of it is me going with my friends, or very rarely I have a little bit of social anxiety. So very rarely do I go out to like a cafe by myself and start recording. So behind the scenes of every video is always a really awesome supportive friend who 90% of the times introduced me to that spot to begin with.
That's awesome. And I mean, it's always nice to have a supportive friend. It is really hard to create content by yourself because you really do feel like that one odd person just in the middle of everything, just making
Yeah.
something. it's
100%.
so but let me ask you this. As it comes to the like you said, you haven't been doing the Magic content recently. You started really coming back with the Magic Atlanta, which I'm so happy for. I'm happy that, you're in the Magic community and hopefully you do get to play more often. Obviously, I'd love to get a game with you at some point. But Magic's not the only game that you play card game wise, correct?
Yeah, my friends and I have recently really gotten into Pokemon. It's funny because I feel like my interest in card games started with Yu-Gi-Oh, but I think the meta just has changed so much that I'm too scared to go back into Yu-Gi-Oh. So our friends have really fully drank the Kool-Aid and we're all into Pokemon and we all recently downloaded the Pokemon TCG Live app on our phones and now we get to battle each other online. So that's been a really fun experience too.
Do you have of all the card games that you've played, which one is your favorite?
Still magic. I'm
Still
like,
Magic?
I'm hoping my friends will come back and play with
Yeah.
me, or I'd be more than happy to like play with you or anybody else online too. I think I just like have never experienced a card game where 3 hours later I'm still having fun. Usually, 30 minutes in, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I kind of want to do something else, but Magic has been such a unique experience and I've never had, had so much fun for so long.
Yeah, it is so interesting that, most times, like, some people will make fun of, like, how long Monopoly games go or, like, Risk or something, because those can take forever, right? But a 3-hour Magic game can feel like nothing. It can feel like such a good time. So I definitely agree with that. But what got you into Magic in the first place? What made you want to go to Magic Con? What made you have the desire to play and the enjoyment that you have for Magic today?
Yeah, I think what's so funny is, before recording this podcast, we were chatting a little bit and we talked
Hmm.
about how, some of your friends started playing Magic in 2011. And I was a freshman in high school in 2011. And I remember staying after school, and there were some really cool seniors who were playing Yu Gi Oh! In the cafeteria. But there was another group of older high school students in a different part of our school playing Magic. And I've never heard of this card game before. And I was just staring in awe. They were like, now I know they were like tapping their lands. Before I was like, what are they doing with all of their cards? Like, it looks so complicated. But I thought it was really cool, and they kind of explained to me that, oh, it's this card game called Magic the Gathering. And I just thought to myself in my little freshman brain, wow, like they're just too cool. This card game is too cool for me to get into. And they were all boys, and I was too intimidated. So there was always a part of me, a childhood part of me, that wanted to get into Magic because I thought that's what the cool kids played. So now, as an adult with adult money, and when my boyfriend and some of his friends expressed interest in playing, I jumped right in. I was like, this is my chance to finally play, and it's everything that I thought it would be. It's been so much fun.
That is amazing. I don't think I've ever I think of all the stories I've heard of people starting to play Magic, you are the first one who I've heard say they seem so cool, and I love that. I think that's fantastic because Magic is really fun. It gets a bad rap, for from this, that, or the other thing, but I do think it's a lot of fun personally. So, Kim, as it comes to like, I want to go back to your travel stuff because that's where you started. That's your roots, essentially. You started, like you said, you started out going to Atlanta. What keeps you going making the travel and the food content and things like that? It can I'm sure it can be hard to do some of that stuff because you're trying to live in the moment, you're trying to actually enjoy what's going on. But what keeps you motivated to keep doing that?
Yeah, that's such a great and thought-provoking question. I don't think I've ever really sat for a moment and reflected as to why I'm making the videos I'm making. I think what I'm realizing as we're talking is, it always comes back to the people. My best friend that I met in college here in Chicago, she moved to Atlanta, and she lives there still now. So that, gives me a reason to keep going back. And I think, there are some videos that I made about going to Las Vegas, and that was another trip with friends. And you're right, right? It's really hard to, pick and choose whether to live in the moment or kind of just, detached for a quick second and make a little video. There have been some times where I'm like, you know what, like, I think this is just a moment where I want to spend with this person. I don't want to think about making content. Will this content even be worth missing out on maybe the moments I could connect with my friends right here? And then a lot of the times, some of the videos that I make that did do better were just I saw this group of motorcyclists on the
Yeah.
highway. Let me just take a quick video and see what's going on, and that one did well.
Yeah.
So,
I was like, I mean, it's so interesting that there was that many cyclists all in one place, but it's also so interesting that it got so many views. And I'm happy
yeah,
for you. Like that's fantastic. It's just like the things that hit, right? It's
yeah.
so interesting.
You can never predict the algorithm. And I
Mhm.
think, yeah, I took that video of this whole motorcycle group driving by on the highway just endlessly. And that was Memorial Day weekend, I think. So it's been a long time since then. And sometimes people are still commenting. So I've learned that you cannot predict social media algorithms. Time and space is not real on social media. People don't
Mhm.
know, when you post this or when you really took this video. So yeah, I think, all in all, it's just more motivation to, you know, take videos and content about stuff that is just fun to make because I feel like if my mindset going into it is, hey, like I'm gonna make this video where me and my girlfriends drink boba tea and unpack, like rip magic packs and put so much effort into recording it thinking it's gonna blow up, I feel like I take away a lot of the joy of just ripping magic packs with my girlfriends.
Speaking of ripping Magic Pack with your girlfriend, you had a really interesting experience with a Magic Pack on a trip recently, correct?
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so quick shout out to Tron is Bad.
Sure.
I never have won a giveaway in my life, and I think my boyfriend was the one who actually interacted with his giveaway video first. And I just thought, why not? All it takes is a comment, and this guy's content seems really cool, so let me go ahead and follow him too. And I was very fortunate to get a little giveaway package from him. And of course, because I tagged three other of my girlfriends in the comment, I'm like, who better to share these packs with than my girlfriends? So I was able to give away two play boosters, Final Fantasy play boosters, to one of my best friends because she lives just down the street from me.
Hmm.
And the next one is my friend from Atlanta. We met up in Las Vegas, and I brought these two Final Fantasy play boosters all the way from Chicago to Vegas because I wanted her to open these packs. I want to get my girlfriends into Magic. This is, slowly trying to convert them into the game, and I think it's working.
Good, good. I mean, Final Fantasy is a good place to start. Is either I think a lot of people their starting point was recently has either been Bloomborough or Final Fantasy because Bloomborough animals love animals, and then Final Fantasy, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't like I've never played Final Fantasy, and I know people are going to get on me for that. That's fine, but even I know that Final Fantasy is cool and awesome looking and things like that. It's just a really good place to start. So I think you're doing great trying to convert them.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, and my friend who lives down the street, I'm learning so much about her through Magic. She is actually such a big Avatar fan that now that she has a few Final Fantasy cards in Magic, she was actually the one who wanted all of us to sign up for the Avatar pre-release, and I think that's really cool.
That's awesome. I love that. I really love that. I do think Magic is a really good way to build community and be able to find really fun art. Like you said earlier, um,
Welcome to Chatter Gang, a pod about the magic and the ink mats. Hello, Chatter Gang. This is your friendly neighborhood editor, Jace. I'm reading this pre written script verbatim so it doesn't go off the rails. It already has. Ink mat script. Thanks to friend of the pod, MJ Variant, he got me in touch with ink mats. If you didn't know, I'm an artist, and I don't make money doing that. When I pitched myself to ink mats, I even noted that I wasn't really in it for the money. I just want to share my art with the world and whoever wants to see it and play on it. I have some of my playmats on there, but we have other friends of the pod who have either made matte designs, oh boy, typo, or are Ink Matte affiliates. Go check them out. I might have my affiliate link down in the description and have flashed my art at you. You can buy from the store now. What the fuck? Go. I should have proofread this. Go check them out. I might have my affiliate link down in the description below and have flashed my art at you that you can buy at the store now. But go check out and follow the artists on there and buy stuff from them. That's it from me. Please enjoy, insert guest here, and have a magical day. A note from Jace's wife. He's pretty cool. Check out the playmats. Less than 3. I like the cowgirl. Okay, bye.
And you can talk about this too with your first time going to MagicCon, wanting to go to Artist Alley, but the art is fantastic. And that's why when you said like you went to MagicCon, you went to Artist Alley first. So why was it so important for you to go to Artist Alley initially but when on your very first time going to MagicCon above anything else, checking out the artists?
Yeah, you 100% saw right through me, Jose. I got into magic because of Bloomborough, and I thought it was just the most adorable thing ever. And personally, I have two guinea pigs, so any little furry creature, I'm just like a sucker for. So once we got to MagicCon, I felt like, there was so much to do, but I just wanted to jump in and just meet the people who made such adorable art. And I feel like my boyfriend, low-key, hates to see me coming when I ask him to play against me with my Bloomborough decks because I'll always pause in the middle of the game and I'll be like, oh my gosh, wait, look at this card, or look at these animals, or what is this rabbit doing? There's just so
I
much
love that.
storytelling in the art, and I think a great bonus that I didn't expect from getting the signatures in Artist Alley is that sometimes the artist would tell you like a little story about the card or their thought process, and I think that just adds on to the storytelling even more.
What's your favorite story or a piece of information that you found out from Artist Alley?
Oh my gosh, I wish I remembered the card and the artist name off the top of my head. I'll have to hop off this podcast later and send you the info.
Yeah.
But there was one card in the Bloomborough set, and the artist told me that they actually had to modify the art because originally it was just too dark. And it's this
Oh.
card where I think it was like a rabbit. It was like two prey animals, like a mom and a baby animal running away from like a predator animal. And it was actually like too dark. They wanted like this whole, story about these animals dying to the predator. And whoever the, art director is that's, final approval of these cards was like, no, you have to change that.
I'm pretty
So
sure I own that playmat. And I'll have to put it in post to see if this is the one. I'll have to send it to you after too. I think I own the playmat you're talking about.
yeah, I think it might be like a I can't pronounce it. Yigra card, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 Well,
I'll have
we'll
to
we'll have to confer. We'll have to confer after, and then we'll have the information in post, hopefully, to be like they knew what they were talking about or something, or these two have no clue what they're talking about. They don't know anything about magic.
Girl was delirious from waiting in lines for so long that she completely misremembered the story.
You know what? Sometimes those long lines are really long. When I went to MagicCon in Atlanta, I went to Artist Alley on the last day, and the lines were really short, and even those were like incredibly long waits considering there was like 3 people in front of me. So I cannot imagine going for your first thing and going to Artist Alley. I can only imagine how long that took.
But I think that like I wasn't even mad. I was like, wow, like these artists are really interacting with their community. They're taking their time to chit chat and talk and really give everybody who comes up to them a great experience. And I really respected that. I thought that was great. And everybody was just so nice in line too and teaching me stuff about magic. I gained a
Mm.
lot from just even standing in line. It was really fun.
That's really awesome. Well, and how do you feel this like next year? They're not going to Chicago. So do you plan on going to a Magic Con still, or is this like you only go when it's in Chicago thing?
Man, I think honestly, yeah, it was really convenient to be living in Chicago and have MagicCon in Chicago, but I think it'd be so fun to go to the Vegas one. I heard that one is a pretty great time, and I think like a quick weekend in Vegas is all you really need too. So I would
Yeah.
definitely travel for it. Yeah, what about you?
I am thinking about going to Las Vegas. Don't know for sure yet. I gotta confer with my podcaster here, Jace, to see what we might be able to do. But I do want to go, and for one reason, and this actually leads into another video of yours that's been very popular, is the medieval times. So I recently watched a video by someone named Sam Reed on YouTube. Sam Reed, fantastic guy, and he went and was cheering for Mordred, who, if you don't know anything about the medieval times, Mordred is the bad guy in the thing, and it's just, I watched it and it looks so fascinating. And then you have your video too, and it again looks just as good. Swords sparking and horses and all this stuff. How cool of an experience was that to be there in person?
You know, people discount medieval times because they think it's just for kids, but they were full grown adults in those stands going wild, me included. And I think it is a 10 out of 10 experience. And yeah, like the cast puts on such a great show. I've only ever been to the Run Fair before going to medieval times, so I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was just going to be jousting. I did not expect like sword fighting. They had either like a hawk or a falcon, I can't remember, like fly around the whole
Yeah.
the king and queen put on like speeches and stuff. It's so fun. 10 out of 10 I would recommend.
Yeah, it seems like just an absolute, and like I said, like the sword sparking and all that stuff, like it's real. Like they have to be very careful to make sure it's scripted, you know. A shout out
Mhm.
to wrestling, but it's scripted. It's but it, like the swords are sparking. That is real. The axes are flying off of each other. That is also, people are flying off of horses. Like this is pretty legit stuff, right?
Yeah, they go hard. I don't care if it's scripted, choreographed. They are swinging those swords hard. They are
Hmm.
literally jumping off of horses and like rolling around on the ground. I think it's super cool. And plus, they're in like really bulky armor. So to just see these like really big men move so agilely, it's really
Yeah.
awesome.
Like, can you imagine the amount of cardio and the amount of strength you have to be able to do any of that stuff in that amount of armor?
Oh my
Like,
gosh, yeah. And
and like you have to be really fit for that kind of stuff. Go ahead.
oh, yeah. Yeah. This is like pure athleticism. And speaking of moving fast, the person who was serving our dinner in the middle of the show was also a squire in the show. So there was a point where, we were served some food and we're like, okay, let's settle down and watch the show. And we were looking like, in the stadium, we're like, wait, that's our dude. That squire is like our guy. So he was like just running back and forth doing multiple jobs as well. Like the whole cast and crew and production, from the actual nights to the people like serving our food, it was just really awesome to see it all come together.
Wow, shout out to that person because that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's so much work to do. I love that. And like I said, like we talked about, like you have to be in such a good physical condition, peak condition. One of the things that you say is a part of your content is fitness as well. So I want to talk about like what does that mean to you? Because obviously big food, we've talked about the food, talked about the fun. Obviously all of this has been fun. But the fitness, what does the fitness portion of it mean for you, for your content, for you in your life?
Yeah, you know what? So background context, a few months ago, I got laid off from my job and I was working as a software engineer on this project that I knew was coming to an end, and I was a contractor. And so I
Mhm.
was expecting an end date. I just didn't expect it to be so soon. They laid me off a few months before, what I was assuming they would do. And so I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this chance to just really like dive into like my hobbies and like finally, take care of myself. And I think to me that meant like fitness in terms of just, stretching and stuff. I live such a sedentary life, desk job, staying at home all the time. And so fitness didn't necessarily mean like, get super jacked and muscular, but just even more mobility so that I don't have back pain when I wake up in the morning. And so I think that, take an unfortunate situation and turn it into a positive. I think that was really like my goal there. Unfortunately, I have been slacking on the fitness content because, fun fact, not actually really, really sad fact, I got Bell's palsy a few months ago. And for those that don't know what that is, that's where half of your face just gets paralyzed out of nowhere. So, yeah, fitness and physical activity and all that has kind of taken a back seat, but it's been a few months since my Bell's palsy diagnosis, and I'm pretty much like 90% like good to go, and I'm really excited to just, yeah, indulge in all these indoor winter hobbies, playing more magic, going back to the gym, and that doesn't even necessarily mean lifting weights. Maybe it could just be
Yeah,
like a quick yoga session that I like
yeah,
pull up on YouTube and follow along with.
yeah. I I appreciate you sharing that with us. Obviously, not something that you had to, but I think that it's important for people to know that we go through struggles and we have things that we don't talk about. So thank you for sharing that. And I only know about Bell's palsy prior to talking to you about it from again wrestling, because wrestling has enveloped most of my life. One of the biggest commentators of all time, his name is Jr. Jim Ross. He has Bell's palsy. So it's something that I learned about over time, and it just does not sound like, obviously, no disease of any kind is any kind of fun,
Mhm.
but if I'm sure it feels very difficult to manage. Like you said, it puts a lot of things on the back burner that are important to you, because at the end of the day, your health is and should be the most important thing. So if you don't mind talking a little bit about like a little bit more about it, and only share what you feel comfortable with, but like when you found out about it, like what were you feeling? What did you go through, and where are you today?
Yeah, 100%. I am more than happy to talk about it because, I only heard about it because I saw a quick TikTok about it. And to be honest, I didn't even watch the TikTok all of the way through. I was like, okay, cool. There's this, new symptom that I've never heard of. I'll keep that in mind.
Hmm.
And when it actually happened, I was driving. I was dropping my boyfriend off at his pickleball game, and I was like, let me go home and just chill. And I was driving with the windows down, the cool summer breeze blowing over my face. I thought everything was good. I was like listening to some music. And then when I started blinking my eyes, I noticed that my right eyelid was blinking a little bit slower. And I was like, okay, that's weird, but I'm wearing contacts. I've been wearing contacts all day. Maybe it's just a little dried out. I'll take care of it when I come home. And then suddenly, like, my lips and tongue started getting a little tingly and a little numb. And I was like, oh no, okay. I remember that TikTok. It could be Bell's palsy or it could be a stroke. So I drove myself promptly to the ER. And
Smart.
I think, yeah, first emotions, first feelings was just panic. I was like, oh my God, I'm on the highway right now. What if I got an accident and, like, cause a crash with all these people around me? Luckily, I like looked up to the nearest hospital and it was only 5 minutes away. And I got to the ER, and, the staff was super awesome. They they like calmed me down right away. They reassured me that we think you're fine, and they have you do a bunch of these tests, like, close your eyes and just scrunch up your face really hard because they want to see the severity of the symptoms. So the process for that just kind of goes, they do like a blood test, a CT scan, any other test that they want to run. And it did get worse before it got better. I think a week after my initial onset was the hardest. My face was so tight. I could not close my eyes all the way. You kind of have to tape your eyes closed when you sleep.
Oh, wow.
But, after that, like, that was kind of like the worst of it, and it's gotten better ever since. So, luckily, I think, that's, the importance of having stuff that makes you happy or special interests like magic, because if there's nothing to kind of distract you from, any negative feelings you're having, and you don't really have much that you can find joy in day to day, it could be really hard to kind of get out of, like a very negative mindset and just focus on the bad stuff that's happening.
Yeah. And again, I appreciate so greatly that you're willing to talk about it. Those kind of things can be so difficult to not only go through, but then have to explain to people and almost like reliving it. So thank you for that. It means a lot to me, and I hope that someone else hearing about this, maybe hopefully no one ever has to go through that themselves either. But like you said, you saw TikTok, and then you realized from having seen that that maybe going to the hospital, which by the way, if you're going through something like that, please go to the hospital like immediately. Like please be careful. But like also watch TikToks all the way through for not selfish purposes. For not
Yeah.
selfish purpose. But like I'm happy that you're okay, all things considered. I'm happy that you're feeling better. I'm happy that you're still here and that nothing happened while you were driving. So all those things are very, very important. So thank you for sharing that. I really do appreciate that.
And thank you so much for giving me the platform to share about it because I
Yeah,
think just the initial panic and spiral, and of course, I'm the type of person where I'm like, I'm going through this. Let me try to look up as many resources and other people going through it as much as I can to see if I can
yeah,
relate, to give me a sense of hope. Because, yeah, like I did feel pretty hopeless going through it. It's hard because with facial palsy, they said that they don't really know what causes it and they don't really know when you'll get better. They can only give estimates and guesses. So, yeah, for anybody who, might be going through this or might be worried about going through this, like I see a lot of hopeful stories online and, I've lived through it. It does get better and I hope the same goes for you.
I love that. And even with everything that's been going on, obviously you haven't let that stop you from living, right? Like you're still going out doing the things. If I'm correct, you did that Vegas trip to drop off the pack during
Mhm.
after that happened, right? You've been going to concerts, which by the way, I'm super jealous. They look a lot of fun. What is one of the favorite things that you've done during your journeys as a content creator? Like, what is the one thing that you filmed and maybe it didn't do the best or maybe it did fantastic, but what was the one thing you're like, this this is fantastic?
That's such a good question. I think that it's hard to pick a favorite, right? Because
Yeah,
every moment that, we put online, obviously we see enough value in it to share with other people and hope that it also brings them joy.
yeah.
But I think most recently would be I made a video about the Rainforest Cafe. There is only one left in Illinois. The one that I used to see all the time growing up was actually in downtown Chicago, but I never went in. And they eventually, I don't think they demolished it yet. I think they maybe just sold the property or maybe stopped paying rent for that spot. So that one shut down. And now the only Rainforest Cafe left in Illinois is, oh my gosh, an hour away from me. It's in this big mall called Gurney Mills. And my boyfriend and I actually went to this Rainforest Cafe for our anniversary, our 7-year anniversary this year. And
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. Yeah, we've been together for way too long. No, I'm kidding. But it was just fun. I like didn't put any music in it. I just kind of wanted to remember, our anniversary and, kind of like with magic, fulfill another childhood wish of mine, which is to go inside a rainforest cafe and I think people somehow resonated with that TikTok video because everybody's commenting, I've been there, I've been to this mall, oh, I've been to a rainforest cafe elsewhere. So I think it's just people's sense of nostalgia bringing them together. And I'm so happy that I get to read all these comments and, think about my memories of the rainforest cafe and then read about all their childhood memories of the
Yeah,
rainforest cafe. So it's really random. I didn't know the Rainforest Cafe would become such a big part of my life, but it's been
yeah.
great.
Rainforest Cafe is a blast. I've gotten to go to a couple in different places, and I just think they're so fun. Like it's not just for kids or whatever. Like it has a pretty good ambiance, and we're all kids at heart anyway, right? Like
Yeah.
let's watch these animatronics. Like that's why Chuck E. Cheese was such a good thing during our childhood too, right?
Mhm.
Like it's just cool to see animatronics and it's cool to see animals and who doesn't love the colors and all that stuff. And the rainforest is cool when it's not the actual rainforest and you could potentially die. That's aside the point. That's aside the point. But yeah, I really like that video too because I just think it is a nostalgia thing, right? And one of the people in your video talked about how, or one of the comments was like, there's not many left. There's like a dozen left, right? Which is terrifying to think because that then potentially that it'll be like Blockbuster where there'll just be none left and then it'll just be a memory. So I'm glad that you have that as a actual thing that you've gone to recently and really enjoyed.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's just kind of crazy that, you know, it's kind of also this feeling of taking things for granted. I always thought that the Rainforest Cafe closest to me would always be there, and I'm realizing, oh, maybe that's not the case. Life is too
Yeah.
short. Why not just go in and see what it's like and just do the dang thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're right, like Rainforest Cafe, medieval times, like TCGs, like they're not just for kids or, it's feeling like you're a kid again. It's been so great to kind of indulge and, kind of be the adult that, younger Kim always thought she could be, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And I think that really resonates through in your videos too, like whether it's you're going to a cute cafe, whether you're going to a store that has fun stuff in it, you're trying new foods, animals, video games, cards, conventions. Which I do have a question about conventions for you here in a minute, but not just Magic Cons this time, all conventions.
Mm.
But I think it's so cool that you're so willing to live life and do those experiences because I think sometimes people are nervous to just kind of experience new things. And I think you show that doing new things can be a lot of fun, a lot, and very, very memorable. So, one thing I do want to ask too, as it comes to that, was there an experience that you were uncertain of that you ended up really, really enjoying while you were doing your content?
Yeah, I think what made me so nervous about going to certain events, especially concerts, is that they're in a lot of venues that I've never been in before. And it gets really complicated with, where do you go? Where can you park? Are we even driving or are we Ubering? Is Ubering going to be too hectic, going in and out of these venues? And so, whether that's concerts or conventions, if it's my first time going to that spot, I like have no idea what to expect, and I'm hoping everything will work out. I think what's really cool about Chicago is that there are always like, conventions going on, if not in the city, then nearby. And there was this one convention for retro video games. I don't even know if you could call it a convention, maybe just like a show. They had like a handful of vendors. I
Mhm.
filled up like one big room and then a little side room. But that was, yeah, in the suburbs, we didn't know, if there was going to be parking in this convention center, how many people would come. Would it be worth our time? But we were like, you know what? Why not? Let's just go check it out. And everything worked out. It was a really great time and we were able to pick up some video games that were really nostalgic to our childhood.
Yeah,
And then,
you picked up Final Fantasy. I mean, it's
yes,
not I didn't like do my research on this or anything. Kingdom Hearts, a Game Boy Advanced.
yes, you peeped that. It's
Yeah,
been really great seeing the overlap of the hobbies too. That's been another
yeah.
fun aspect of just kind of indulging yourself and seeing where everything connects.
Yeah, it is really cool, and you're Kim. I have to know these things because I'm sure if I were to ask you a question about my video, you would know like immediately, like, oh yeah, this is like the third video I ever did, and it was that I was like, okay, so I have to make sure that I know my stuff too. But I think those kind of things are so cool because it's like when you go to a new town and you ask someone where to go to eat, they never tell you the people who actually live there never tell you to go to like the big chain or like the place that everyone goes to, right? Like in Chicago, if someone asked you where should I go for pizza, you wouldn't tell them Giordano's,
Yeah.
probably, right? Like you
Mhm.
would tell them go to this alley, you'll find this door in the back, go through the door, there's going to be a guy yelling, ask that guy for pizza, right? Like like it's always the things that you never expect and are kind of like off in the cut that end up being the best experiences. And I feel like that one that you're talking about is one of those things where like maybe, it wasn't the biggest thing, but you found some gold there essentially.
Yeah, 100% you're right. It's always, people make these videos online about go here, this is a hidden gem, not really hidden gem. But I think just ultimately whether or not a place is popular or a little bit more obscure, just kind of taking that leap of faith and seeing where it takes you. And, if nothing comes out of it, that's fine. At least you can tell yourself that you tried or you went on this little adventure and took some time to invest in yourself and your interests.
Yeah. And I think that is important just to experience life and to do fun things, right? Life is too short. You never know what's going to happen next. So just go and enjoy and buy that thing or whatnot, you know. And actually, speaking of buying things, that leads into the thing about the cons. So you have a tendency to go to cons and have a tendency to buy a lot of the pretty cards, right? Can you talk to me about the different cons you've been to and the collection that you've built through the cons that you have been to, and like not just like big cons, but like little expos or whatever that you end up just finding all these cute Pokemon or Magic or whatever cards at.
Yes, similar to that retro video game show, we've been to a lot of smaller shows for trading cards. And to be honest, now, because I think that's kind of the focus of my friend group, it's been mostly Pokemon.
Mhm,
But it's been pretty funny because I'll look back to maybe the bigger cons we've gone to, like Collecticon.
mhm.
And you know, last year when I went to Collecticon, I was, I had no interest in Pokemon. I just was really into Magic. I was looking for Magic, but we went and it was like 80% Pokemon. And I spent less than a day there. We were going through all these vendor tables looking for the cards that we needed for our deck or cards that we wanted to collect for Magic. And we just left so quickly. And then now this year we went and we're like, "Oh my gosh, there's so much Pokemon. This is great. Let's splurge." So, yeah, I think like, you know, it's it's not necessarily like it's important to pick and choose which cons you go to because at the end of the day, you never really know which vendors are going to be there. But it is, interesting to see how what your current interests and hobbies are and then how that shapes your con experience. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, from Collecticon last year to this year, two very different experiences.
There's all that mindset, right? You're just like last year was not Pokemon, this year all in on Pokemon.
Oh yeah, and you are right. I am a sucker for the cute cards, and because I have guinea pigs, I love anything rodent, rat-like, and Pokemon does have a lot of rodent like cards, so I went a
Yes.
little crazy this year.
I would say or rodent adjacent because like they are very prevalent and very cute. So I agree with that. I agree with that. As it comes to the different cons, because you do live in a city that tends to have a lot of cons come to it, right? Like one of the big ones that I know of there that happens a lot is like C2E2. That's what it's right
Mhm.
called, right? Have you been to a C2E2?
You know what? I went to C2E2, I think 2 years ago as well, but to be honest, I didn't really find it memorable. I think I just went
Okay.
for the sake of going.
Okay.
But big memory I do have of C2E2 is when I was younger, I went in high school and it was just me, my younger brother, and my older cousin who took us because my parents were like, "You need parental supervision, take your cousin with you." That was so awesome. And again, we're just two kids who like never went before. And then my older cousin at the time had no interest in any comic related or,
Yeah.
animation related. And so we just walked into the convention center and I think people were leaving early that Saturday or like, in the middle of the day on a like a Saturday.
Yeah.
And they were just like giving away the wristbands to us, which I thought was so sweet.
Mm,
And so we got to enjoy like the rest of the con. And that's been a really great family memory that I've been holding about C2E2. So I think I want to go back, but this time with a specific agenda. I think 2 years ago when I went, it was just okay, like whatever my friends want to do or whatever panels, I'll kind of just go and enjoy. But I think it would be more fun to kind of look at the schedule, look at who's guest starring, and kind of make a more robust experience of it.
I think that's great. I love those memories that we can hold on to, and then even though it was a completely different time in your life, and then you go to recently, you're still willing to give it a chance again because you know that there's magic there, right? Like,
Mhm.
not the gathering, but also the gathering, whatever. But there's a spark there that it's like this can be something very special, and
Mhm.
I think that's really fascinating. Your brother, or no, you said your cousin. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
your cousin. Do they play or is still into comics? Do they play any of these games with you or anything like that?
Now they don't, but they have 3 kids now.
Oh wow.
And he did express to me, he was like, "Hey, are you going to C2E2? Are you going to Anime Central ASEN?" And he actually recently, it's funny that you bring this up. He brought it up a few months ago because we were discussing what him and his wife and kids are going to do for Halloween. And he was like, "Yeah, like, did you know they give out Pokemon cards for trick or treating now?" I'm like, "Oh, that's the way. Like, are you and your boyfriend gonna go to any conventions like C2E2 or ASIN? Because I want to bring my kids." So I think his love of bringing children to conventions and just seeing them enjoy outweighs his interest, personally in like investing in all of that. But yeah, the family fun continues, and I'm looking forward to go with him and his family next year.
That's awesome, and that's actually not the first time I've heard the Pokemon card thing. Shout out to Quig Cosplay. She also talked about handing out Pokemon cards instead of candy because kids get inundated with candy, and then but Pokemon cards are forever, right?
Oh
Pokemon
yeah.
card rates. So, and who doesn't want to, like who doesn't want to open that pack and pull? Like I don't know the value of any Pokemon cards truly. I know some of like the big ones because you hear that everywhere. But half the time, if I open a pack of Pokemon cards, I'm like, oh, this is just really cool.
Mm.
Right. So, and I imagine that's what most kids are like too. They're like, oh, this card's so cool. And it could be like 5 cents, but it's like I don't know, Vaporeon, and they're like, "Oh man, this is dope." And I'm like, "I agree. I think that's dope
Yeah,
too."
it's super cool to just see, one person's trash is another person's treasure. I have like a lot of bulk magic cards, Pokemon cards, and sometimes my friends are like, "Oh, that's my favorite Pokemon," or "Hey, that the art on that magic card is cool," or "Green is my favorite color," and I'm like, "Here, take them all," and everybody, comes out on top. Like everybody's so happy, and I think it's
Yeah.
really cool to see people find joy in the little things.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the most important part. It sounds like to you, and it is to me too, about the card games is like it's about the community, right? It's about togetherness. If it's something that I have and can help you, then why not, give? Why not help you get into the hobby or help you further yourself into the hobby? And that's I think that's really admirable of you to do and be willing to participate in.
I mean, I learned from you, I learned from the I learned from the best about, what it means to really share your hobbies and interests and spread that joy to other people. And I know you mentioned earlier on when we were talking that, magic, can tend to have a bad rap, but as somebody who's newer to magic, I have never experienced a single moment of negativity in the community. Maybe that's just
Oh,
me being really naive or ignorant, but it has
or
just been
lucky.
so much fun. Or lucky, yeah. Yeah, everybody's just been so awesome. I'm so happy that it's brought me together with you and the rest of the community. I love going through, your videos and your comment sections and seeing all the mutual friends we have too. That's been really fun.
Yeah,
Um,
I that's actually one of my favorite things too, is going through and seeing like, oh, like these people know each other, like now or somehow or whatever. Like one of the people who started recently, her name's Against the Grain, Ray. She didn't start all that long ago, and now I see her commenting on like people who I didn't even know she knew, and I was like, this is awesome. This
that
is
is
awesome coming together. So I agree. The community is a huge part. I'm glad you've had a really good experience. That makes me really happy because, just like getting into any hobby, it all depends on the people you start with, right? Because I've heard the people who they start playing Magic and it's with someone who is way too competitive and they don't actually teach the person how to play. They just beat them into the ground and then that person never wants to play again. And that makes me really sad. So I'm glad you've had the positive experience end of that where you haven't experienced any of that and you want to continue and grow in your playing in the space.
so much. Fingers crossed it stays that way. I know I'm headed to the Avatar pre-release event later today, so let's hope I don't get curb stomped too hard.
Yeah, yeah. If any, just we'll if anyone does anything, let us know. We'll as a community, we'll say, well, we'll send Tron. We'll send Tron as bad out. Tron's been getting jacked. He'll take care of it.
Yeah, see, there's the community you can always rely on.
Yeah, exactly. As we are winding down here, I appreciate all the time that I've had with you so far, and I feel like we could probably talk for like another hour, two, three. But I don't want to take up too much of your day because you do have stuff going on later. But I do want to ask a couple questions. If you don't have a direct answer right away, no worries. But just some things about magic or Even at this point, if you want to answer as it comes to Pokemon, you can do the same thing. What is your favorite card? Whether it be a Magic card or maybe a Pokemon card. What is your favorite card in the game?
Ooh, I think my favorite card has to be a Mabel Bloomborough card.
Oh,
I think she just looks so badass with her sword.
hmm.
And I think there was like an animation or a cinematic about all the Bloomborough creatures too, and I just
Yeah.
think all the mouse creatures look so cute. So 10 out of 10. I love my rodents. I think Mabel is a badass, and that's one of my goals is to get a Mabel.
Yeah, you're consistent. I love the consistency. You're very consistent. So definitely the rodents. Mabel is really cool. So I agree with that. Do you have a favorite deck that you have ever played with or that you currently own?
Oh, yeah, you know what? I feel like so when I got into Magic, my boyfriend was really sweet. He just bought me a bunch of Bloomborough packs. And
Hmm.
so I tried to make my own deck out of
Hmm.
the bulk, and it goes horribly wrong every time. So I think my favorite deck just has to be a trusty precon that I
Okay.
bought off of my boyfriend's brother. It's a Zimone deck.
Oh
Um,
my, yeah.
yeah, Zimone Precon. I have not added or removed a single card, and she has my back every time. It's been great.
Yeah, Zimone is very good. So that's very, very I love that. I love that. Okay. What is a card that you say, and I think I kind of feel like the answer already here, but what is there a card that you like to play as often as you can, like you put in any deck that you build?
You
I'm gonna
know,
guess you're gonna say rodents, but
if I can sneak a rodent in there, I will. I don't care if it's not really playable or meta, as long as I can like get it on the board. That's like my personal win.
that's awesome. Have you attempted to build an all rodent deck yet?
So not for Magic, but for Pokemon, since my friends and I have the TCG Live app, I have been
Mm,
trying to scan all my QR codes and get enough points to make an all rodent deck, but it
that's
doesn't
awesome.
really seem like that's the meta. So I think it'll just be a completely troll deck. I think I'll have better luck if I actually get my physical cards out, make a deck, and just play with friends for fun.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's hard when you're playing a game like that, and to even remotely have a chance, it has to be within the meta. It makes it tough, but I'm glad you're at least having fun with it. That's what matters there.
Yeah, I'm not even there to win. I'm just there to force people to look at my rats.
That's right. That's right. You will respect my rats. You will look at these, and you will not kill them. You will let them stay on the board. Do you have a card in mind that maybe you think people should play more often?
You know what? Since we were talking about the Zimone precon, I'm thinking about that one card, that giggling skitter spike.
I love giggling Skitter Spike.
That one, I love it because it reminds me of, how Sid kind of messes with his toys in Toy Story. That's what that art card reminds me of. And it's actually so good. I think I've won because of this card like two or three times specifically. So I think people should definitely be playing it. And I would just love to.
Yeah, I agree, and it's actually funny that you bring up the Sid thing because I think I saw that someone made like a custom version that was Sid
That's
in the card.
awesome.
So I think that makes sense. But Giggling Skitterspike is fantastic. I
Mhm.
agree. I think it's a great card. I think anytime that you can make people take damage just by it existing is always fun. So I
Mhm.
agree. Definitely play that one. And I'm a big fan of Monstrous or Monstrosity.
Ooh,
So
yes.
yeah, and that has it. So 10 out of 10 agree. Great choice there. Do you have a food that you suggest people to try that maybe people typically would not?
Ooh. I think I'm a big proponent of just saying, try anything once.
Hmm.
If it's not too far out of your comfort zone, why not and see if you like it? But I think actually my friend just took me to a Turkish cafe recently
Hmm.
and I had baklava. It wasn't my first time trying baklava, but I had it once in college and I was like, maybe not for me. And then I recently went to a Turkish cafe, had baklava again, and I love it.
Yeah.
So,
Wee. Hey Chatter Gang, it's your friendly neighborhood editor Jace here. I'm just vamping. I don't have a script. Sorry about that. We had an error with my internet when we were recording Kim's episode, so I had to kind of jerry rig the episode from Jose's recording. So it's going to sound a little different, and I will try to fix it as much as possible. But hey, sometimes things happen. I still hope you enjoy it. It'll go back to my mic at the end. Thanks. Have a nice night or day. Magical. Bye.
It doesn't have to be baklava, but either try everything once or down the line, maybe be open to trying it again because you never know. Maybe your taste buds have changed, or maybe, you just needed to give a different spot another try.
Yeah. I was gonna say, or you needed to make sure that it was made by people who know how to actually make the thing, or fresh, or what have you. Yeah, I agree. Baklava is great. I love baklava, so I think that's a great shout. Do you have uh, a travel tip for people when they're going out that maybe you don't hear often enough? Like you always hear, like, try to pack light, or you hear don't take a check bag if you don't have to. But like, do you have one that maybe is not as known that you think is a really good tip based on your experiences?
Ooh. I think I will say because I have pretty bad flight anxiety.
Mhm.
Every time I get on a plane, I just hope that I make it to the other side. So I think for any anxious like me, maybe just come prepared, whether that's with a good book. I always download on my phone. Make sure you download it offline. Multiple books, multiple different kinds of books, because in the moment you never really know. And I feel like reading something more serious or something more lighthearted just to distract yourself. Come with lots of music. A lot of these streaming platforms will also let you download shows and movies offline. So just distracting yourself from the initial takeoff and landing really does a lot to kind of help my experience. So I hope that, that helps somebody else out too.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I need to be better about reading. Like I want to read, and I've been listening to some audiobooks now finally. But I think that having something to distract you from waiting at the airport because sometimes you get there too early, or being on the plane, I think that's really important. I agree with that. Do you have any goals for yourself in the coming months, year, whatever have you, as it comes to your content?
Yeah, I think I am just gonna really focus on indoor activities that, me, my friends, anybody else watching, could stay consistent with. So I'm hoping that magic becomes a big part of my content again. Maybe fitness, maybe like indoor workouts. And of course, always food. It is Thanksgiving season, all the holidays are coming up, so lots and lots of food.
Awesome. Yeah, hey, the holidays are great. Love that. So, and I based on all the things that you've done, I trust your food tips. So I'm totally down with that. No problem. Do you have any hopes for not just your content, because you talked about the goals you have there, but hopes for the future as it comes to Magic the Gathering, the game, maybe Pokemon the game, or hopes that you have for the community as a whole in your mind?
Yeah, I think that I'll start with Pokemon. I feel like I've seen such a big panic around buying and acquiring Pokemon products. I feel like, that bubble seems to slowly be bursting and card prices are going back down. So I think my big hope is, at least in terms of, my personal experience with Pokemon, is that the focus will come back and shift back to just enjoying the cute cards and playing the game and less so about making a profit. I think that when it trickles down to people who are just more casual players, it could be a big deterrent. But it does seem like that's kind of trending down, so I'm pretty hopeful. And with Magic, I think, the more that I stick in the game and the community, the more people I just see playing. Like my local game store is just packed every single commander night. It's kind of like to the point where we have to get there early to grab a table. So, despite all of that, I just hope to see the community grow a lot more and, just meet more girlies and new friends throughout the experience.
Love that. I think those are some fantastic hopes. And actually, I'm going to ask you a side question to that. Do you hope they go back to Bloomborough?
Oh, 100%,
Okay.
100%, and please, if they do, come out with more rats. More
Yeah.
rodents, please.
More rodent support. More rodent support. Kim Dailies, this has been such an awesome experience. Thank you so much for being such a fun, open, thoughtful individual. Thank you for the content that you do. I think you're doing a fantastic job. I love watching the travel stuff. I love watching the Pokemon stuff, the concerts, the magic. I think that you have a lot ahead for you, and I'm really excited to see where everything leads you.
Thank you so much, Jose. Thank you for bringing me on. I had such a great time, and you asked such thought-provoking questions that it's really making me reflect on my own my own content and magic. And to be honest, I've learned so much about the game and the community from you. I'm really looking forward to seeing, all the other creators that you have on the cast and just falling in love even more with the community.
I love that. I love that. Before I start crying, because again, so sweet of you. Anything that you want to plug or anything that you want to talk about coming up in your near future?
Only thing I want to plug is this podcast. 100% everybody, please listen to all of the episodes. I have had such a great going through Jose's videos on social media platforms and learning about people and to have, that knowledge of other people in the community in long form content. I am stoked. Like 100% everybody watch out.
And don't forget to follow Kim's Dailies on TikTok, Instagram. Do you have anywhere else?
Nope, that's it.
TikTok and Instagram. She's a fantastic follow, and Kim, you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. All right, this was awesome. Thanks so much.
No problem. And everyone, thank you so much for listening to Chatter Gang, a pod about the magic in the gathering. And remember, when despair tries to win, counter with hope. Have a good one.